You're listening to the Training Ground Guru podcast. In every episode, we bring you insights into the teams behind the teams in professional football. Coming up on today's episode.
I'm not scared of hard work. I'm not scared of disappointment. I'm not scared of adversity. And I've had it all my life. Of course, I want to manage at the highest place I can. And if I do, that'll be through dedication, sacrifices and hard work like I've done all my life.
I'm Simon Austin from Training Ground Guru, and our guest on this episode is Robbie Savage. Robbie made 346 Premier League appearances as a player. Since then, he's become a household name as a TV and radio pundit and appeared on Strictly in 2011. Now he's pursuing a different career as the head coach of Macclesfield in the Northern Premier League. Robbie told me why he turned to coaching, about his leadership style, and about his lofty ambitions as a manager. We hope you enjoy this episode, and if you do, please give us a follow via your preferred podcast provider. Thanks very much for joining us on the podcast, Robbie.
Pleasure, Simon. You know, I know about the podcast. I listen to it, I enjoy it. I'm taking coaching and managing very seriously, as I've done in everything I've ever done, and this is the next step in my journey.
So we've known you as a Premier League footballer, a broadcaster, director of football. How are you finding this latest instalment in your career?
It's something that I'm thriving in. It's something that deep down I wish I'd have done earlier. Listen, I'm a young manager, but I'm 50 years of age, still young in terms of, you know, what managers are. We know managers can go on into their 70s. So again, it's something that I've really embraced. It's something that I never wanted to do, but as a director of football, the frustration inside me, watching games, the narrative, if we got beat, it was my fault. So I thought I've always been a person that's accountable for my own actions. Look myself in the mirror and think, did I get that right? Did I get that wrong? So it's something that I had an opportunity in the summer to do, and so far it's going okay.
And I watched the documentary on the BBC, and I know as director of football you're very hands-on, you're in the changing room. So did this feel a very natural move then to actually be the head coach and be hands-on involvement?
Yeah, it did, and I've learned a lot in the space of 4 years now, running a football club with my partner Rob. You know, as director of football, the recruitment side of it, managing managers, staff, the academy, building an academy, the BTEC programme, that's given me a great platform to go into management where you still have to worry about the same things, a group of people, the collective, but it's something that, I'm thriving in, and being on the grass is what I've always done. That camaraderie, that togetherness, that man management of players, which we'll go on to later, but I've taken from every manager I've worked with and how they manage me and how I'd like my son to be managed. I've taken all that and I've written things down over the years. So again, I'm in a good place now to give my experience to my group of players.
Mm. And how did the move actually come about? Because I think you said at the time you'd had an offer from another club in the summer.
So we lost in the playoff final to Marine, who were the better team on the day. Of course, of the season, we were the second best team. But the eventuality was that we knew we'd be in the playoffs if we finished second. We did. 2 home games to get promoted. Marine beat us 2-1 on our ground, and it hurt. It really, really hurt. Seeing them celebrate on the pitch, rightly so, in front of their fans. It was in great spirit, as we would have if we were away. And the devastation it took, because the narrative was, I brought the players in, you know, do I pick the team? Do I have such an input where managers at our football club can't make their own informed decision? Because I was always in the background. I thought, do you know what? It's now a time really that I need to get that frustration out of me when I'm going home. You know, my wife and my kids bearing the brunt of my frustration in terms of my moods, the disappointment, not being able to switch off. So in the summer, when I had a phone call to see would I be interested in going in as a head coach at a club, went to my board, and said, listen, I think it's time. Our manager had only been in place a number of months and was done brilliant for us. But obviously the situation at Mac is as a co-owner and having shares and what I bring to the football club, you can imagine the owners were very keen for me to stay. So they offered me the job as head coach and take us up. I felt really bad in a situation, but inevitably it is a time where I had to think about me, and it suits me. It's 10 minutes from my house, but it's a journey I've been a part on. I've lived it, I've thrived in it, and I thought, you know what, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go here. But I knew I had to be judged on results, and so far the results are going well. I know it can turn in an instant, believe me, I know I can. But again, it's something that I'm privileged to be manager of Macclesfield Football Club. They've had some unbelievable managers in the past, and now it's my opportunity to my first step on the ladder.
Have you got coaching badges or any experience before?
So when I was at Derby, I'd done my level 1 and 2, and I then applied for my B, and I never really followed through with it because the media side, the director of football side, but I love analysis, I love tactics, I love formations, and sitting in the green rooms with Glenn Hoddle, with Rio Ferdinand, with Michael Owen, with Joe Cole, with Chris Wilder, doing shows with lots of experienced managers, players, Champions League winners, and I would take little bits of knowledge from them. So although I hadn't done my coaching badges, I just gained that knowledge through speaking and listening and being like a sponge and taking everything in. And then obviously when I got the head coach role, I've just completed my B licence with the Welsh FA. I was on the course with so many good people. Wayne Hatsfield was my mentor. So I'll be on my A next year. Something that I've loved. I love the B. It's quite nerve-wracking, to be fair. I don't like speaking in front of large groups, but I believe in what I do, and it's completely different. So when people say, well, I've played X amount of games, do I really need my coaching badges? Yeah, you do. And that's what has surprised me, the amount of detail that you need. So again, I was always of the impression, I'll be fine. I've played that many games, I spoke to that many people, but that's not an air of arrogance. That was just my beliefs. But since I've been doing my coaching badges and know the detail, know the different methods and methodologies, it's given me a great insight into coaching, and I loved it to the point where on my assessments on the grass I wanted to carry on, start my A next year. And I believe if you're on your A licence, you can coach, manage in the Football League. I think you need your pro for the Premier League, and that's my expectations, that I want to manage as high as I can.
So you do see it as a vocation beyond just Macclesfield?
Yeah, I do. My goal as a player was to try and play Manchester United's first team. It didn't happen. Then my goal was to try and play as many senior men's games of football as I could, whatever level. Then the next goal was, can I play as many Premier League games? Can I play for my country? And can I win trophies? I won one trophy, played numerous games. Can I captain a Premier League club, captain 4? So again, everything I've ever done is to be better, to better myself in the media. Started on 5 Live Sports Extra, now presenting the biggest football forum in the UK. So again, I'm not scared of hard work. I'm not scared of disappointment. I'm not scared of adversity. And I've had it all my life. Of course, I want to manage at the highest place I can. And if I do, that'll be through dedication, sacrifices and hard work like I've done all my life.
Do you still carry on with some of the director of football duties now?
No, but as an owner of a football club, you're always aware of situations, and I try and help and guide and comfort my staff. When you're an owner and the manager, if you lead from the front, people follow. So I'll always be in a situation where if anything he's doing, I will do it and help, because I think if the people at the top are doing it, there's no excuse for anybody else not to follow. The other night when there was lots of snow, 4 inches of snow, we had volunteers, and I was there till 10 o'clock at night. I was there first thing in the morning, helping, because I think if the volunteers and the staff and the fans are seeing that an owner and the other owners were there doing it, then there's no reason why they shouldn't follow. So I think that's what my beliefs are in life. If you need to do something, if you can do it yourself and you can manage people in the right way, they'll want to do it for you. And I think that's the same in management. If you can be on a level playing field, don't think you're better or worse than anybody else. I think if you can do that and show a great example, people want to go in that journey with you.
I've actually got someone who works with me called Tom, who's a massive Macclesfield fan. So he was saying that to me, how involved you are with the fans, and he said you buy them drinks, do you, as well sometimes?
I do. And the away fans, we had Hebben who come to us on a Tuesday night. It took them 6 hours to get there. I think it was about 30 fans. I bought them all a drink. I think it's great that the non-league community, it's such a great community, and I've loved it. I thrive in it. And again, I'm no better or worse than anybody to think that I shouldn't be managing at these levels. It's my first opportunity. Who am I to think that I can go in straight in league football? I haven't got the right. I'm an inexperienced manager at non-league level. So who am I to suggest that I'll do my coaching badges and automatically get a job in the Football League? Haven't got the right. I've not earned the right, and I want to earn the right with Macclesfield.
How did the players find it with you making that step to being head coach? Was that difficult for them to start with?
Yeah, and it was difficult for me because as director of football and owner, they would come to me. For instance, so many facets to being a director of football and running a football club, all different situations with individuals and players. So again, they used to call me Sav, and the first day my assistant manager said you have to call him Gaffer now, which I still find strange, that lads who, I've treated at times like I would treat my own son, are then now calling me Gaffer. I thought that was difficult, but the lads, I've got to say, have been remarkable. We're on an unbelievable run. Up until last week, in the top 268 teams in league football, we were the only unbeaten team. We lost in midweek, but then bounced back with a great win at Workington at the weekend. So again, the lads are on board. I try and treat them like I would want to be treated as a player, and how I'd want my son to be treated. And I honestly think that when I go into training on a Tuesday morning, a Thursday morning, a Saturday game day, how would I want my son to be feeling and treated by his manager? And I try and instill that in myself and do it in a way where I'm honest and open with the players, because my son's having an unbelievable period at the minute at Reading, and Ruben Sellers has been great with him. And I look at how, speak to him and how he would want to be treated and how he's treated. And as I say, if I can do that with my players and make them feel like they're the most important player in the room, whether they're 19th man, a sub or starter, if I can get that camaraderie and that feeling of I am as important as the next person, we'll have a great opportunity.
Has man management changed a lot since you were playing? Because I think someone like Eric Harrison, he was very good but very, very hard on the lads, wasn't he, at that time? And could you still be like that now?
No, it has changed. It has changed, and even to the point where I've had to change, where my biggest strength and my biggest weakness is my emotion. And as director of football, that emotion come out too much in a negative, where even sitting in the stands, I would shake my head, my mannerisms. If we missed a chance, the manager would be looking at me, and I probably didn't help in that way, but that was just my emotion. So again, as a manager now of a group, your vocabulary has changed. You can't rant and rage at everybody. I think it's like a game of chess. Before half time, you've got a short period of time before a game and half time to get your message across. If you're shouting and arguing with players, you're wasting time. So I've really realised that, and I worked on it. Of course, there'll be times when you need to really get into the players in a hard but a fair way and an honest way. And I think so far the reactions I get from our players when it's needed, coming out or in game, is there for all to see. And I've had a couple of run-ins with a couple of players in a positive way, where I've had to say, listen, you need to respect me, I respect you, but you need to show that same respect back. And I don't mind players arguing with me back in the right way at the right time. Of course, I'm more than happy to have a debate, but it's got to be done in a respectful manner. And again, as a captain, as a player, I used to go above and beyond in terms of letting people know that it wasn't good enough and not acceptable. I've got standards, and that's what I've got as a manager. But again, it's completely changed. You can't now go in there and shout and rant and your mannerisms. I think you have to be more, reasoned and educated in your view.
Yeah. Does that not work with young people now generally, if you are like command and control, they call it, where you're shouting at them, telling them what to do, very hard on them.
Yeah, there's no point. It goes in one ear out the other, and if I'm going to get my message across to a youngster, an experienced player, you need to talk them through and show them, and even on the training pitch, that you can get your message across, but the common language in football is the ball. You can show them with the ball. You can show them in our dressing room. We got screens. You can show them on the screen. It's the ball. If you're trying to get your message across, show them visually instead of shouting and ranting. I think that's the best way, and that's one of the things I've learned is players and the ball, they move. If you can show them visually instead of shouting, then it benefits everybody.
Do you do that through analysis? And do you use a lot of video analysis of what you do?
We do. We do, yeah. We analyse all the opponents, we analyse the games, we analyse individuals, patterns, rotations, everything we do. We got the GPS, we got everything. But, if in a situation where things aren't going correctly, if I'm to go in at half-time and shout and rant, you're wasting time. If you can show them in a calm, measured way and say, listen, this is what I expect, this is what I want, and they can see it, then it's beneficial. And to be fair, they've taken it on board and they're really relishing, and thriving in an environment where we have to win every game. And it's amazing to think that at a football club like Macclesfield FC, where staying up or the expectation wasn't as great now, because of the situation we're in and the profile of the club, and because of the extraordinary position we find ourselves in terms of ownership with the funds available, we're in a position now where we can be in a position to have a large budget at these levels. But what comes with that is expectation and an expectancy to win every game. And everybody, when they play against you, is a cup final and an occasion. So again, it's a different mentality for our players at these levels, and for me, because me as a player never played for a team that was expected to win every week, and that pressure and that drive it's a new experience for me. I've been in teams where it's against all odds. It's can we get something today? Let's sit in for 90 minutes, try and nick one in transition. Now it's about us on the other side of that coin. We're like a Man City at these levels, where we got the best squad, we've got a great budget, we've got everything that we need. Now, for me, it's a different mentality where I've got set teams out to go and win games, to go and get goals, to be entertaining, with the expectancy that when we cross that white line, subconsciously everybody coming to that game think Mac have only got to turn up and win. So it's how I get that message across consistently to our players, that every game, no matter when you cross that white line, we have to try and win.
And you were saying earlier that you really enjoy the tactical side of the game. Do you have a clear identity in the way you play that you stick to?
Yeah. So the recruitment process was for us in the first season was a 4-3-3. I had a head of recruitment who was brilliant for us, Jimmy Holmes. He was magnificent, built us two teams. Myself and him, he knew the players at those levels. And what I've had to do in that short period of 4 years is learn the levels, go and watch games at non-league level, get to know players, get to know characters, the player as an individual. I've had to get to know what they do outside of football in terms of the day job. When you build a team at non-league level, it's so many factors that come into it. So we built a team of 4-3-3, and then we won the league by 15 points. And then the second season, teams were going into a low block, so we thought we needed 4 lines. So we wanted to get the best number 10 we could get, and we got Alex Curran from Curzon Ashton, who's been magnificent. So we went to 4-2-3-1, and what we did was, my methodology was, listen, can we play attacking, entertaining football but winning football? And because at our disposal we could get the best players, because we could pay them more than players at their level, I wanted to create a side where it was so entertaining, and a side that you can go 1v1 all over the park. So I love pace. So we got wingers as fullbacks in a 4-2-3-1. We got a youngster from Stafford Rangers who'd been at Stoke, and on the other side we got a boy from Marine who hit the crossbar against Spurs in the FA Cup, Neil Kengi. Both wingers, but we decided to put them to fullbacks. And then with our wingers, we play a left footer on the right and a right footer on the left, so inverted. So then when they come in, you'll have three. So then in the back four of the opposition, they've got a decision to make. When the wingers come inside, what do the full-backs do? What do the centre-halves do? Because you've got the wingers, natural right footer, natural left footer. When they get on the outside, they've got a big problem. So the five in attack at times, not on the same line. So when the two inverted wingers come inside and drop a little bit deeper, centre forward stays high, and you've got the wide players getting down the sides. Or you can reverse that. The fullback gets inside, the wide player stays out. So you create so many problems and overloads, and teams aren't being able to handle us. Then what's happened, people are now then starting to work is out and just going to a low block. They go to a 5-4-1 or at times a 5-5, a low block, and just creating another problem for us. So this year I started with the 4-2-3-1, but then when good players become available, it's about players. We can talk about systems. If you've got the best players fit, you've got an opportunity, and it's how you mould those players into a formation. So I've now gone to the 3-4-1-2, but if we need to change it, I can always go to the 4-2-3-1. So it's about the players. So now when Damani Mella became available, who's played for Manchester United in the Europa League, who's played league football, and Danny Elliott, I've got two centre forwards. You look at Premier League sides, you look at sides in general, the most successful sides, the percentage of goals are scored inside the box. I look at Man City now. I think it's 68% of their goals have come inside the box, which is unheard of for them. Liverpool, I think 96, 97%. So again, how do you get more bodies in the box by playing a 3-4-1-2? Well, you got two centre forwards to start with in there. You can get the wide players, you can get the 10, you can get one of the sixes. That's something that we've worked on. It's worked, and at the weekend we started with that, but went into a low block, and after 51 minutes I went to the 4-2-3-1. I took off my top goal scorer Danny Elliott, who's got 19 goals. You can see the crowd thinking, what's he doing? He's taking off his top scorer, it's 0-0. But I wanted to get a different problem for their back four, because our 3-4-1-2, the 10 was getting no space because of the low block. The two centre forwards weren't getting any joy, so I thought, right, let's create a different problem with the inverted wingers and the full-backs flying outside. The goal came from the left-sided Sean Etaluku, who I got from Barrow, dropped into the pocket, got on a half-turn, played Kenji on the overlap, crossed it. Damani Mella, who was a sole 9, got across the near post, and that left Stuffy, the 10, to get into the middle of the goal, who scored in the last minute. So again, I love seeing that. And listen, I done Manchester United in the Champions League, and they play the 3-4-3, but they play with 2 10s and 1 9, where we play with 2 9s and 1 10. And I said before the game, and the thing I've learned at this level is the higher you go, the information retained by players is far better, far greater, and they can adapt very quickly. I think at these levels, players take things literally. So before the game on my board, I was saying, because I was at Manchester United in the week, and you can imagine, people, kept going on about the formation of Ruben Amorim and the way he does it. And I was watching, and again, he adapted in the game when he brought Dallo on it. Dallo was going as a 10 at times, but he was reverting into a back four out of the ball, and I thought he was brilliant. And in no uncertain terms am I saying I'm like Ruben Amorim. Of course I'm not, but I love watching managers and tactics. It's something that I really enjoy.
And it's interesting in terms of sort of what you do on the touchline as well, because I remember Jurgen Klopp said, I set the mood for the team. So he will be very emotional sometimes if that was needed. But then you've also got to be quite clear-headed, haven't you, I suppose, to make those tactical decisions you were talking about. So how do you get that balance between the two?
Because we are in a position where we've got the best players and we've got a great way of playing, and because we're winning most games, I've found it quite calming. Nerve-wracking. My heart rate in a technical area goes up to 150, which is, I think my maximum heart rate's only about 170, 180, and that's without no physical, exhaustion. I'm just in the technical area because that's the nerves, that's what it does to you, and that's what I found is quite alarming, is how high my heart rate goes up in the technical area watching my team. That's just a nervousness of getting beat, I think, or not winning a game. So again, I try and control it. I've got John McMahon and Peter Ban. Peter Ban played 1,000 games in non-league, knows the levels, and John McMahon was has got an experience as an assistant head coach at league clubs, Morecambe, but he was also Rafa Benitez's reserve team manager at Liverpool. Got great history in the family. Steve McMahon's his brother. He's got his pro license. So again, he's my calming influence. If there's any emotion with the opposition bench, I let them do it. I'm just more calm and I watch the game, analyse. Of course, if something needs to be said, I get emotional. But then I've surprised myself in how calm I am, really. I don't like to engage with the opposition management. Of course, I'll be respectful, shaking hands before the game and after. And on one occasion, I've not shaken hands with an opposition manager because I didn't think it was the actions of those didn't deserve it. And I'm fair in that way. So again, I try and be respectful of the level, and I'm at that level because I deserve to be right now, because I've done nothing to achieve going higher. So again, getting your messages on and tactically, and my assistant writes notes down. I'm more of I've got a great memory. I can see things. And I say we, it's always we, because there's been times in games where my assistants have come up to me and said, let's try this. And what I'm not is I'm not a stubborn manager, and I've seen managers being stubborn, and it's their way, and I want to prove I can do it this way, but if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit it. So again, in games, my management team, because it's about your team, and I think you're only as strong as your weakest link, and if my weakest link is as strong as me, then we'll have a successful journey. So again, there's been in games when they've said, listen, why don't we try that? And I've said, yeah, great idea, we've done it, we've won the game, and they get the utmost credit. It's we. It's never I or them, it's we. And that's one thing I've learned, that you need people around you who will tell you the truth and push you. I'm not going to, in my management career, whether it ends at the end of the season, if you don't go, or whatever happens, if I'm here for 20 years, I want people to push me, and I'm not going to be satisfied with people saying yes, yes. I want people to say no and push me to make me better. And that's what I've done all my life.
And I've been going to non-league football for quite a while, and what struck me, I think, in sort of the last 7-8 years is the change in the style of play. So it was very long ball, direct, confrontational before. Now you do see teams playing out from the back quite a bit. And that has really surprised me, and you've got to think that is the Pep influence, probably.
Yeah, I think it is, and it surprised me, because you're thinking, I've seen teams that even at our levels trying to do it, but they haven't got the players and the capability to do that. It's just they're doing it because maybe it looks good. But my philosophy is that my goalkeeper, by the way, who's been brilliant, we've had 21 goalkeepers at Macclesfield, he's the best, he's been magnificent, and my message to him is, you are in goal. You wanted to be a goalkeeper. It's one of the most difficult positions on the football pitch. You have to keep the ball at the net. So my philosophy is old school, keep the ball at the net. I don't want you dribbling it, doing Cruyff turns to look good and to make us play out. So get the ball to the full-back, to the centre-half or to the midfield player as quickly as you can. Yeah, I say to my defenders, play forward quickly. Get into the final third as quickly as we can, because that's where our most dangerous attacking players are. And the further it is away from our goal, the less likely they're going to score. The higher up the pitch we are, be compact, be high, the more chance we got of scoring. So my creative and best players technically are in the final third of the opposition. So of course in the build-up, I don't like to build up like side to side, play forward quick, play forward early, and let's go and put the pressure on them high in their third. I want to press, because we're the fittest team in the league, I believe. Good players, when pressurised, can give the ball away. At our level, when players aren't as good, if you can pressurise them, they'll give you the ball more. And if you can win the ball higher up, and I like to get final third recoveries, I'm big on that. I'm big on, squeezing up the pitch, playing quite high. Don't like playing offside, because I think that I've got enough pace in my back line that if we play high, we can catch the person who gets through. So again, I want to make the pitch compact in the opposition half. I want to be brave. I want to be aggressive. I'm not one for playing out from the back. And at times I've got frustrated when I used to watch us and we're playing the ball around the back and it looks nice. For me, there's no, you're playing without a purpose. For me, the purpose is to entertain, to score goals, to be aggressive, and to get the crowd on the edge of their seats, whether that's with the ball or without the ball. Without the ball, you can press and you can get a throw in. Yeah, the crowd they love it. Or you can play brilliant football, creating chances. The crowd love that also. So I want to be aggressive with them without the ball.
Sometimes I think with the kind of very slow build-up at the back, you're giving the opposition the chance to get set and get in position as well. So the gaps are closing.
That's what happens. So the slower we move the ball, the opposition can retreat, they can get set. And when teams play against us, I would do the same if I was in the opposition dugout against Macclesfield. I would say, listen, let's disrupt the game, let's waste time when we can, manage the game well, slow it down, get them frustrated. I would do all the same, and that's what happens. So we're used to that now. So again, you'll see, when they get a set piece or a goal kick, they'll just waste time, and it takes about a minute. So then I'm on to the assistant ref, just the time wasted, and I get it. So I say, when the ball goes out, when we've got to throw in a corner, hand on quick play, free kick, hand on play, because they're not set. When they get set, it becomes more difficult. But we're in a period at the minute where if teams go toe to toe with us, we've got the better players, we're fitter, we're quicker, we're stronger, we'll beat them. If teams go on a low block, we'll eventually break them down. And the teams I played against, when I was in the Premier League, when I used to go to Old Trafford, it was relentless. You knew you'd be in a low block for 60, 70, 80 minutes, hang in there, try and nick one in transition. Counter-attack when I played, now it's transition. And that's what we do to teams. It's relentless in the way we play. You keep going, because mentally, when you're on the back foot for the majority of the game, you've got to keep dragging people in, you've got to be in your position, you can't go out, you can't jump. If you jump, we'll get in behind you. It's relentless, and I say, be relentless in attack. Be relentless, wave after wave after wave. We will break them down, because it happened, when I used to go to Old Trafford, Youth and Highbury, it was like, here we go again, mentally switch on, looking over your shoulder constantly, checking your numbers, and eventually they break you down.
And it all sounds very good, very rosy so far, but Tom, who I work with, was saying some of your staff have to wear GoPros because of abuse you get in from the away fans, so that must be hard.
Yeah, that's it happened at the weekend, where an individual who I believe had a lot to drink was allowed to stand arm's length from me in an area where it was not permitted, and that individual was not moved for a considerable amount of time after hurling abuse at me. And I don't think that can happen, and that's why at these levels you are accessible. Before the game, I'm in the boardroom of the sponsors lounge signing programmes, having pictures, and all the niceties, and then I'm expected to smile and get on with it when the abuse levelled at me is uncalled for. I understand as a player when it's the obscenities thrown at me. I get that, when people have had a drink, or the tribalism or the rivalry, but when it spills over to individuals going over the line, that's why I've got Joe, who wears the GoPro, to film it in an environment now and a place we're in as a society where if you're not represented in the right way by footage, it can be construed in many different ways. So again, if, for instance, if I was to have a go back at somebody and that was just on camera, the footage before would not be showed. So again, I like to be covered in terms of, if I react like this is the reason. When you're in the public eye, stuff can be put out there all one-sided. So now that's why I do it. So again, at the weekend, it was not nice. It's something that I hope will be dealt with. It happens at most away grounds. It shouldn't be part and parcel because at non-league level, you're so accessible, you're not protected. With 30, 40, 50,000 at non-league grounds, where there's 300-400, or in case at home, 3,500, 4,000, you're so accessible. And you can drink within vision of the ground, of the pitch again. So it's something that is not right. But again, it's people think they've got a right because they know me, because they think they've seen me, because they think I'm a celebrity. But I'm not a celebrity. I'm a non-league manager. It's not my fault that I've done what I've done in the game through hard work and desire. So again, I just want to be treated like every other non-league manager, some who are better than me. No problem.
Yeah. The abuse seems to be getting worse, doesn't it, generally? And I try and think why that is, really. I don't know if it's because people are used to doing it on social media and then they get a bit blurred with reality and social media. I don't know why it is.
Yeah, it is on social media. You can imagine after every single game we play, the abuse is, quite alarming. And I've had it all. And I thought I was expecting it. as a non-league manager? Have I got the respect in terms of people thinking, do you know what, fair play to him? He's gone in at these levels. You know, he's probably, other people have probably said, who's he think he is? He's got all the answers. He's never done it himself. And that's one thing which I'm proud of, that as I've gone in at these levels, we're doing okay, and we should do okay. And make no mistake about that. I'm no idiot to think that we shouldn't be winning games. We shouldn't be up at the top of the league with everything at my disposal. You know, and let's be fair, teams in every single level of football, if you've got a large amount of money, you will be successful if you can manage that group in the right way. So, of course, we should be up there. It's a point now where everybody's looking for us to fail, and there's no better feeling when you get a last minute win at a team where, you know, have given you a little bit. That's the best feeling. That's how you answer people, not from verbally getting into shouting matches. It's doing it on the pitch, enjoying your team, embracing your team, looking after your players and scoring goals, winning goals, and then you can celebrate. And again, we had a long bus journey back from Workington, and the lads' camaraderie and the spirit, and that's why you do football, is to look at their faces and look at what it means to them. And all I want for my group of players is for them to be successful and for them to get more money. Because listen, let's be totally honest. You're playing football, A, because as a kid you love it, but B, for money. So again, I'm in no uncertain terms that players will play for Macclesfield. A, because they get paid more than most clubs, and B, because it's an unbelievable journey to go on. And I say to them, I want you this time next season to be giving up your daytime jobs, to be full-time footballers, to get more money for you and your family. If I'm standing here next season, that means we've won promotion. And that means you all will be hopefully full-time footballers and on more money. If we all obtain that goal, we've all won. I don't get paid at the minute as a non-league manager, and nor should I, because when my directors and partners are putting money in to the football club, how can I take money out? So again, there'll be a point when, of course, I want to be paid and have to be paid. If we win the league and go up, maybe we go full time. Maybe then I've got to reconsider what I do, but then I'll need to be paid. So again, my goal is, and I say it to them every single week, I want you to look after your families. I want you to experience what I had as a player, and we're all on the same page. And you can only be honest and open with them.
Do you think it's changed your approach to football as well? And because I listen to 606 a lot, and I think you've probably changed a bit over that period. I think you're probably less likely to go in, aren't you, on a manager, say, with a very strong opinion on them, or you seem a bit more understanding and balanced, I would say.
Yeah, and that's why I've got Chris sitting with me on 606, and he can do that. And listen, he's brilliant. Listen, I think we make a brilliant team, and somebody who's got this dry sense of humour, misunderstood like myself, but one of the nicest guys you could meet, a big friend, one of my probably best friends now, and he's brilliant. And he's been a manager at Lincoln. But I've always thought that, who am I to criticise a manager when, I speak to Premier League managers now and understand, and things are said, and they know things which can never get out in terms of what they have to deal with. And I've always thought that if a team's struggling or doing well, there's reasons behind that. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors, what managers do. So that's one thing I've learned, that as a pundit, that's your job. And there's some brilliant pundits out there. But for me, never being in the situation as a manager, saying it all, doing it all, yeah, of course, we can all do that. But now being in the spotlight, being on the touchline, making decisions that affect communities and players' livelihoods, I'm in a much better position now as a pundit, much better position. There's pundits out there who have given management a go, but then are now pundits. Maybe they realise management's not for them. Maybe it might be a little bit too stressful, might be a little bit time consuming. Maybe all your energy is going to that. Maybe because you can't switch off. Maybe because you've got the worries of a community on your shoulders. Maybe you got players phoning you up every hour. Maybe you've got players who have been injured. There's so many things that come into it. And being a pundit is a brilliant job, and it's a hard job. People think it's easy. It's not. You've got to do your research, the travel, everything. It's a brilliant job, of course, and we're very fortunate to do it. But I'm in a position now when I'm seeing pundits who have never put themselves in a technical area, yeah, it's different. I now listen to the ones who have done it because they have an understanding of what it takes to be a manager. And if they've only lasted a number of months, then so be it. At least they've experienced it. They only know why they want to continue in that field and go back to being a pundit. But I'm in a position now where I'm in a much better place as a pundit by being a manager. And listen, the long-term goal is to be a manager. And if I'm not, I'll always have the punditry to fall back on. Maybe it won't be as regular because you have to make a decision. What do you want to do? Do you want to do this full time? I don't think you can mix the two. 606, of course, I think with the timings of it, I was the first player at Derby to do 606 and be a current player. I think it would be great that whatever level I'm managing at is, if I went into the league, being a full-time manager with 606 at 7:30 would be a great insight for me and for the listeners. So again, it's something that you can't decide until you're in that situation.
I think the nature of punditry is kind of the same as the nature of football in a bit, in that it can be very short term, can't it? You can have very strong opinions based on like the last game. And the hard thing is to see the trends, isn't it, really? And keep calm and see a bit longer term. And I guess that is important in your job as well. If you have setbacks or defeats, to still stay on that long-term path.
Yeah, and it's the consistency, the messages. We lost midweek. It was our first defeat against a team who gave everything. Did they deserve it on the night? Probably not. You know, when you're at the crossbar and the post 5 times and create numerous chances and you don't take them, of course, it's a frustration. But again, it was the consistent message of, listen, it's not too bad. Listen, that might change when there's 4 or 5 defeats and we'll get beat again this season. That's how I react, because at the minute, it's going well. But there will be a period, I'm sure, that my big concern would be, listen, of course, I want to take Macclesfield up and who knows where Macclesfield can go, but there might be a point where I've had offers already. Offers I don't think I was ready for because I need to make mistakes. How would I be like in a team where it's near the bottom of the table with not the biggest, with the 19th biggest budget, where, you know, you have to get the best out of those players against teams like a Mac. I've been in that position as a player, so I understand from a player's perspective in that situation. So I get it from a player's perspective and I can relay that as a manager to my players if I was in that situation. I'm in a situation now which is uncharted for me. I'm in a successful winning team who are expected to win. And I never play for Man City, Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool, teams who are expected to win week out. So as a player, I've experienced those emotions of up against it, let's stay in the Premier League, let's finish as high as we can. Yeah, again, and managers got the best out of my group doing that. So I can take that from the managers I work with in motivating the players who are up against it. Now I'm on the other side where I'm a manager now who needs to keep the players motivated and have that mentality of a Manchester United and Man City to win every week. So again, as a manager, I need to be in a situation where I've probably got the 17th biggest, 18th biggest budget. But again, I'll take the experience as a player and the managers, how they treated us as a group in that situation. So right now, I needed to manage a team with where I've not been before. And this is a position where I've never been in, expecting to win every game.
And going right back to the start of your career, because you said that you enjoy the youth development side of it, and that's something you're passionate about at Macclesfield. Going back to your time at Man United, could that have been make or break when you were released by them?
Yeah, it could have been. You know, how many players, that's why it's one of the best youth academy setups in the world, that if you don't have a career at Manchester United, the amount of players that go on to have successful careers because what's instilled in them by the football club is frightening. You know, I was one, my son's doing okay. There's numerous players who, he played in the first team, I didn't. If you don't get offered a contract at Manchester United, it's not the be-all and end-all. There's opportunities elsewhere, and the platform they give you with their education, with the way that you learn about football, with the morals, shaking people's hands, little things like that you take further in your development. Under Eric Harrison, Paul McGuinness, who was there, there's been Brian Kidd, there's been so many fantastic people at that football club who helped me, and now there's Nick Cox and there's people doing unbelievable jobs. But when you say make or break, there's so many people who don't end up being footballers either. It's about that inner belief, that desire, those sacrifices, don't give up, adversity. And I thought, yeah, listen, I'm going to give this another go, and you need a little bit of luck, right place, right time. I get that, but the smallest amount of luck with the bigger amount of desire and sacrifice gets you to where you want to get to. And inevitably, if you're good enough and you've got the right attitude and desire, you'll get an opportunity, and that's what I did.
Because there's a lot of focus on that at the moment in academies, whether they're doing enough for the players who are released and what happens to them. And we had a suicide, didn't we, with someone at Man City a couple of years ago?
Yeah, and it's obviously so sad, because as young players, the dream is to go and play on the biggest stage in front of thousands of people. It's before and after this, and there's so many players who come out of the game who struggle as well, because they've had all that. They've had everything. They've had money. They've had, and this, I'm talking the top end of the game, and then, you know, they've had successful lifestyles, and then when it finishes, mentally it can be very, very difficult. That's why I'm in a fortunate position now where I'm still mentally driven in terms of what I'm doing with football. I go to the gym every day. I do, just to keep me mentally stimulated, and this has given me a platform now where I can enjoy it as well as being mentally stimulated. With young players, it's amazing that I took a team at Macclesfield, under 14s to under 16s. And what I did was, it was lads who got released, because the area of Macclesfield is a great catchment area. You've got Liverpool, you've got Man City, you've got Man United, you've got Everton, you've got Accrington, Blackburn, Bury. You've got all the teams around this area, you know, Wigan, who, if you get released, I created a team of players who had been released, a grassroots team. And in our final season, under 16 level, and listen, I was the manager. Used to get up on a Sunday morning, go to all the teams, you know, be there and learn that way as well. And we had the most successful under 16 team, I think, in the history of the Manchester Leagues. Won everything. Played academies. We played Liverpool Academy, played Leeds, Leicester, beating these teams. Of course, they would probably play the under 15s with some under 16s who needed minutes, but we were beating these teams with a group of lads who would come out of the game, who got released, but I give them that desire and that belief back to saying, listen, it's not over. Some of those lads have gone on to be part of academies again and under 21s, which makes me proud, because I just showed them it happened to me. I wasn't good enough. And when I say I wasn't good enough, I was good enough, but I just didn't have the right opportunity at that time, and it was somebody's decision. So you are good enough. Let's go and show people now how good you are and how you can get back. And we did it, and we won the County Cup, we won the league, we were unbeaten. We went to Chelsea, took on Chelsea, we lost 5-1, but again, it was an amazing experience for them. We beat Liverpool, I think it was 3-2. We beat Leeds with Archie Gray in the team. I think it was Archie Gray. We beat Wrexham 6. So it was a group of individuals who had followed the same path I had, but I got them into a grassroots team. And again, it was the same then. People thought I paid the parents, I paid the players at grassroots level, which was nonsense. It was such a team that were organised, that were determined, that had this ambition, this desire to prove people wrong. And there was one young boy, Callum West. Burnley took him from us. He's now at Barnsley. And I think he was scorer of the year last year, but I think he got, you know, he's now at Barnsley in the 21s. And he played in our first team at Mac. And there was a number of players who, you know, are now playing non-league football from that experience. So it's not my first taste of management. People will say, well, he's only managed grassroots level, but that's where I've started. That's where I've earned the right to now manage Macclesfield FC in senior football, and we're doing okay.
And another debate is about whether the academies prepare players well enough now for senior men's football. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, we've just taken a boy from Blackburn Rovers, James Edmondson. High potential. I think that, you know, they say high potential. Now he's a high potential player at Blackburn. Because of my relationship with ex-players and managers and the way I speak about them in the media, I think people respect me, and I think people will trust me with young players. Trust us as a club, because I've got a young son of my own making his way in the game. I was a young player who got released. I come through one of the best academy, the best youth team ever, class of 92. And I think people trust me with their young players. So obviously Blackburn really accommodating. We've taken James, who's one of the high potential players, playing under 21 football. He's come into our environment now in the dressing room. He absolutely loves it. We've now extended his loan, and he's learning. He's learning a different side to the game, where at Blackburn it's all, you get the ball, you take it on your back foot. Of course, all the same principles which we instill, play forward. But what he's had to learn is, away from home, we went to Matlock, you know, Tuesday night, good crowd, probably a different pitch he's played on recently, because growing up, we all played on, I played in my cul-de-sac on the concrete, jumpers down, diving around, getting cuts on my knees, played on the local playing field where the grass was that long, so we've all done it, and lads in academies who go there early probably haven't experienced those kind of conditions. So Matlock away, good, decent pitch, but wet, muddy. We went 2-0 up, and he's playing in there. He was thriving, he was loving it. But then they come back to 2-2. Now he faces a different pressure where under 21 football, it's about individuals and a team around them playing for that individual to get into the first team. Now it's about him in a game which means a lot to the community and to the other players and their livelihoods for 3 points. There's a huge difference there for that young man now in his learning period of his career. So instead of getting the ball on the back foot and maybe playing academy football, just turn it in behind him. Just put it in the channel, turn it behind him. When it comes to you, flip it in behind. Little things like that, second ball, duels, winning headers, doing the dirty side. Yeah, but when you come off the pitch, 3 points means so much more for that group of people you're sitting next to, because it's their livelihoods in terms of if they don't get a new contract at these levels, what does it mean for them and their families? So again, he's learned a different side now. He's embraced it and monitoring his minutes, sending the VO clips to Blackburn to monitor it, constantly dialogue with them, putting smiles on kids' faces. And academy football's great, but for me, it's about the individual. Listen, do people really care? Of course, the FA Youth Cup, historic, I won it in 92, lost in the final to Leeds in 93. It's a great competition to win. But in the league, it's a team playing for individuals who that club want to push quicker than most. In this occasion, coming to our level and playing, it's about him realising what it means to get 3 points on a Saturday or a Tuesday. And that's the biggest difference for me. 3 points actually means something for young players, instead of the niceties of academy football.
I think the top clubs are constantly trying to find that, aren't they, really? Whether it's loans or FA Trophy, they're trying to get more young players involved now. But it's difficult, isn't it? Abroad, they have the B teams where the young players can play competitive men's football, but we're never going to have that, are we, in this country?
No, I don't think so. But we've got the best pyramid in world football. What other levels of other countries at step 3, which we are getting 3,500, 4,000 fans. It's quite remarkable. So we've got the best pyramid. And the problem you probably have convincing young players is to step down to step 3, because when they're in the niceties of academy football, that when they drop down and they go to a Workington away or a Matlock away or a Prescott Cables away. Listen, Prescott Cables is a great old stadium. That'll be great for young players to go and see that. It's brilliant. I love going there. We're going there soon. Passionate fans, good manager. These non-league clubs where some academies will think, I don't mind players dropping down to those levels, but it's great for them. It's great for them to see it, to experience it. But the biggest thing is, as I say, making young players know what 3 points means.
Yeah, brilliant. And we're drawing to a close now. I was just going to ask, actually, your persona as a player, I would say it's sort of brash, combative, provocative, maybe. Is that like an aspect of your persona, or is that the whole thing? Because you seem quite different talking to you than people might think.
I'm different. Listen, when I played, it was a pantomime. I had to orchestrate the pantomime. I had to get the best out of individuals around me. I had to get the crowd going. There'd be times in games where I would fly into a tackle needlessly when it was 0-0 to get everybody going, to get myself going, to get the crowd going. I would do theatrics to get everybody going, to wind myself up, to wind the opposition up, and I knew what I was good at. But let's not take away, I had lots of ability. I hear it now saying that, he wasn't very good. You have to be mentally tough. You have to be a certain type of character to keep fighting back, to keep, getting abused most weeks, to succeed. And I did that as a player. I did it in my own special way, and to play nearly 350 Premier League games and captain 4 clubs, you have to have something inside you which is special. And off the pitch, I'm quiet, I'm insecure, I'm a worrier. I worry about my family. My family's my be-all and end-all. I've got 2 sons, one's playing for Mac, one's playing for Reading. And what I'm trying to do is just give them the best opportunities I can. And, you know, I live for my family. You know, I've still got my mum. I lost my dad to Alzheimer's at 50. He had it at 58, died at 64. So again, I just try and look after everybody around me. One thing I'll say is that inside our bubble and inside my bubble, if you're part of my bubble, I will do everything I can to make sure that I do everything I can for you as an individual and your family. And I think that's where people won't see that. And I don't need to talk about it and celebrate it because I know I'm doing it. And I hope the players, which they do, I think, realise that, and all my staff realise that, and the players I play with realise that I'm unselfish in the way I played. I didn't mind getting the ball and giving it to the better players. That was my job, that was my role. I don't mind now helping all my players out in if they need something. Of course I don't, because I know if I can get them focused on being the best they can be, it will help me. Listen, I'm clever, I'm not stupid. I understand that at times I'll be up against adversity, but I'm not going to try and not give my players any excuses. And that's one thing I never did as a player. I never made excuses. I think excuses are for weak people. I never made them, and I don't want to give my players any excuses. So I do everything I can in terms of every stone unturned for whatever level of football we're at, is giving them the mentality of to go into that pitch believing that they can take on the world. And at the minute we're doing that, and that might be, if I manage higher, that'll be the same. People who know me in my bubble know I'm a decent guy, I'm all right, I love talking about football, I'm addicted to football, I want to be the best I can be, and I want to make the people around me the best they can be, with a sense of worth. And I hopefully I'm doing that, and my staff are the same. And I want them to come in with a smile on their face and thinking, I want to do well for him, I want to show him I can be the best, I want to do it for him. And so far we're experienced that, and it's I'm in a very fortunate position that I've got an opportunity given to me by Macclesfield, and I want to take it with both hands and give them back. And listen, if we don't win the league and if we don't go up, I know the outcome. I know the outcome will be, who's he think he is? He failed. I get it. I understand it. But it won't be for the want of giving everything I can for a group of players and a staff where I give them everything.
I wonder, like with the fan that you were talking about last week, I think they forget that managers are actually people, don't they? With feelings, who are going to be affected by you talking like that or abusing someone like that. Yeah, and listen, I'm not sure what will happen to any other managers at our level, but because they think they've seen me on the TV or they know about my career, they think I'm an easy target. And as I say, I'm a non-league manager. That's what I am, irrespective of what I've done in the past. I've probably achieved more than, in terms of footballing career, than the most majority of non-league managers. Of course I have, but I'm not a footballer anymore. I'm a non-league manager, and they've achieved a lot more than me. So I'm starting from a position of a great position with the resources I've got, but I'm starting at a base where they've achieved more. Why don't fans say that and say, do you know what, fair play to him? But they're never going to do that. They want us to fail, but that's the fuel to my fire. Failure is, and the non-pleasantries people say, is fuel to my fire, to my team's fire, to our fire, because when you get those 3 points, that fire burns brighter and it burns bigger, and we just want to keep proving people wrong. But nothing's achieved yet. Until I win my first piece of silverware, with whoever that may be, is that success? Well, for me, success is, I'm successful now because what I've done with youngsters is I've given them opportunities and platforms to be the best they can be, to go on to bigger and better things. I've given a group of lads now the belief that they can take on anything they want. So I've won already with players. Have I won as a manager? No, because people are going to judge me on if Macclesfield go up. I get that. I'm not scared of that, but I'll keep everything in-house. I make a diary, I make a note of people who say things about us, again, as fuel. And because we're Macclesfield Football Club, and because my standards are that high in expectancy, I don't like my bench engaging with the opposition. And on Saturday I said to him, I turned around and said, be quiet all here. We got standards. Do not lower ourselves to anybody else's standards. We got standards of a league club, and we do that. So I don't know unpleasantries. I've kept a bit of emotion at times, but listen, and I told him in no uncertain terms on Saturday, because I won't have it. I've got standards as an individual, as a person, and I want everybody to follow my standards. Mm. And you do literally keep a note, do you, of every time someone...
I've I've got my stay there. I've got my book. Hang on. Yeah. So look, this is my little book. I've got it all in there. I can see it. You know, see all in there. I've got the games, the players. I mark them, and I've got what was said about the opposition, what was the manager said to me. So every single game.
So if someone slags off the team, then you will make a note of that.
I've got a note, yeah.
But,
yeah.
Right, okay. And you will then read that back for motivation for you later on.
Yeah. But it's for me as well, for my fuel, for my knowledge. You know, I've got all the analysis. I love analysis. I've got all the data sheets. I've got minutes played. I've got every single, not here, but I've got my analyst who's brilliant, got his masters in it. Every single, before Tuesday, it's on my desk. Every detail, goal scored, inside, outside, left foot, right foot, header, when they were scored, everything like a league club, we've got it all. It's huge. So I understand the game's changed through data, and I know players are signed on data. So again, I'm up to speed on that because I'm big into data, and I've got so many data platforms and people who I know who I can lean on. I've got my own, which we do. I'll be creating an analysis room now at Mac, where I can bring the players and show them, which we do anyway, but I was just creating our own room. The loan market, I believe I can use really well because of my relationship with managers, and they trust me. So again, the higher we go, I think I can utilise that. So whether it's Macclesfield or higher, anybody that employs me will be getting somebody who is driven, who cares, who can improve players, who's got a great style of football, and can utilise managers higher with a loan system. We're in a good place. The place is Macclesfield right now. Will it be Macclesfield forever? Who knows? But it's something that I'm loving and can only be thankful that they've given me the opportunity.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks so much for your time, Robbie.
Pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Training Ground Guru podcast. We'll be back next month with another episode. In the meantime, you can follow our latest updates on the website and on Twitter @ground_guru.